Okay. Okay. Where do you want to put them? Dirt,
So,
okay.
I left and come back to get gas and I got caught in it.
Got it?
I'm just sorry for it.
I'm sorry for his families.
All of his people, and I said I'd at the union late, but I said I just couldn't make it.
Yeah.
And I said,
I was gonna come out here after they had the funeral, but it was still a bunch of us, so I just waited till one.
What is your name?
Jennifer Creel.
Spell your last name, Jennifer.
C-R-E-E-L.
Jennifer, tell me, you heard about this morning. Tell me what you think about what all happened.
Well, I think it's terrible. I don't know why anybody would do something like that. I don't know. It's beyond me. I mean, even if you don't agree with the war, why would you do something like that to him and his family? It's just cruel.
I mean, basically the whole town showed up the other day for the
Right.
funeral.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, something like this afterward, it's hard to believe.
Yes, it's terrible. I would have never thought anybody from around here would have done anything like that. So.
What all have you heard as far as how bad it was this morning?
I heard that they shredded flags and they tore up all the flowers and all the posters, and I don't know who found it. What I was told was a woman found it and she helped clean it all up because she didn't want his family to see it. So.
All right, okay, first of all, your name, sir?
Bill Buchanan.
Bill, spell your last name.
Buchanan.
Tell me a little bit about this incident that happened this morning or last night with the grave desecration.
It was actually on the day after the funeral. The funeral was, well, I got to stop and think now. When was this? This is Friday, so it was on Wednesday.
Okay.
And a lady went out to the cemetery, Cooke Memorial Cemetery, to pick up the flags that had been used out there as a part of Jeremy Burris' funeral service. And when she got out there to pick up those flags, she found what I would describe as desecration of the grave. The grave itself was not injured, but what was all the flower stands and the flags that were on the grave were torn up in little pieces and strewn across the cemetery. A very attractive cemetery that incidentally had been really spit and polished for the funeral. It was just looking great until this act occurred. And it was strewn all over a path in the cemetery. And she immediately called a VFW friend of hers, Bill Offit, and he and a couple other folks came out there and began cleaning up. And as I was standing there talking to them, they said they just can't let the family see this. We just can't let the family see this. It was obvious the concern was real and sincere, and they were very moved by the fact that somebody would stoop this low to pull a stunt like that.
What do you think? I mean, the town, this entire town turned out for that funeral.
Basically. Entire county.
Okay.
The entire county, and I know what you mean. Though it was a marvelous display by our neighbors in Dayton, and all that they did with flags everywhere, and similarly, you could say that about Liberty. And the funeral procession itself was 2 2/10 miles long by actual measurement, and it was just a huge turnout to display their love and affection for a family who's very well known here, very well respected for their incredible entertainment talents, but also for what they've given to this country. 3 sons in the service, and now one has given his life. It was a marvelous display. It certainly does not imply that we know how the family feels, but we're just trying to shoulder some of the burden, and the towns did it magnificently.
What do you think someone like this? I mean,
I said on the air.
People blame being thrown here and there, but you think it's just one person or 2 people?
I think it's 1 or 2 people who either had way too much to drink or just not very smart, or maybe a combination of the two. But the thing that I said on the air was, and I meant with all my heart, was that even though they have chosen to conduct themselves, and of course the secrecy of dark, cowards always do these kinds of things in the dark. And even though they decided to do this, there are still patriots out there who will defend their rights. And that's pretty important. Jeremy Burris died for those rights, and this idiot's got to express themselves in a way that was despicable.
What do you think now? Some people are talking about starting a fund for prosecution on the individuals.
Kind of a Crime Stoppers thing with outside the Crime Stoppers organization, but that type of thing, where they put together some monies and hopefully there'll be someone caught and prosecuted. Generally, people of that ilk are not very smart, and they'll start bragging about what they did. And when they do, there's other people out there who will not tolerate that, and they'll squeal on them. And there'll be some kind of reward, just not sure what yet.
Okay. Anything like this ever happened in this town before?
We've had, over the years, we've had 1 or 2 vandalisms of local cemeteries, not for a specific event like this, but just, people really conducting themselves in a terrible way. We had a guy go bananas one time who was upset because his girlfriend had died and left him, and went out there and drove over a bunch of funeral markers, grave markers, I should say, and created a bunch of. But he was emotionally unstable, and at the time, a little bit different than I think this was.
On the radio show, you talked about it today, or you talked about it. How much response did you get from the general public, and what kind of response were you getting?
As far as this incident of vandalism,
yes, on this
we've had a
incident.
number of people who call and ask what they can do, and I've been directing them all to a single person, just because that was the first person that called me and wanted to know what she could do. And so I've been directing that one person. If a organized effort comes together, then of course the local media will report it, and hopefully maybe aid in catching this idiot. Pardon me, I'm a little emotional about it, but that's what he is.
Quite a few comments still coming in. I mean, the phone pretty well lights your phone lines up.
Well, we've had several calls, and this is TVE week, and there's so much going on, so many different things happening in the community. The response has been notable and admirable, but I don't know a real number.
All right, appreciate it.
Okay.
Okay, back on. When did all this, as far as this occurring, when did all this come about, and how was it found?
It was the night of Wednesday after the funeral, Wednesday night or Thursday morning. And around 10:30 or 11 o'clock in the morning, some people who had displayed flags out there, they've done this before, and they know that it takes a while for the flags to dry out from the morning dew. They went out there to clean up the flags, and that's when they found the damage done to Jeremy's grave.
All right. Okay, sir, first of all, your name?
My name is Mike Cummings,
And you're the chief here at Liberty?
Chief of Police, yes.
Mike, spell your last name.
Cummings.
Okay, tell me a little bit about this incident that happened the night before last.
Well, what I can tell you is that our office was notified yesterday, Thursday, about 1 o'clock in the afternoon. We received a call from some people out at the Cooke Cemetery advising us that the gravesite of Lance Corporal Jeremy Burris, who was just buried on Tuesday, had been desecrated, and there had been some criminal mischief and damage to the area. So our officers responded out there, found several of the floral wreaths and sprays that had been left behind, and American flags had been broken and torn up and piled up and on the gravesite, and just basically created a debris field using those flowers and the flags and posters that had been left behind by well-wishers.
Just pretty much tore the posters and such up?
Tore everything up and just left it laying out there, and like I say, created about a 40-foot in diameter debris field around the gravesite.
Okay, so where in the investigation are y'all at now?
Right now, we're the thing is under investigation at this particular point. We have no suspects, and right now, very few leads to go on. So we're looking for any help we can get from the public.
Small town like this, many people turned out for this funeral. What's your feeling on this?
I think it's a despicable act.
Okay, first of all, what is your name?
Laura
Laura, and your last name?
Dorset,
Spell your last name.
D-O-R-S-E-T-T.
Okay, tell me, how did you come across the grave, and tell me what all happened.
I was going out there to pick flags up from the veterans' graves. We marked the graves when the funeral was going to happen. And I went in to get the flags off the graves, and I seen flowers just strewn everywhere. All over his grave, everywhere.
Tell me about the feeling. What did you...
I was sick. It was a sickening feeling. I wanted to cry.
I mean, you've been out there before, and have you ever seen anything like this before happen?
No, never. Never.
I mean, this whole town turned out for this funeral, and something like this happened. So it's...
Cowards. That's all I can tell you. It's cowards. It's sickening.